I want to tell you about the town I work in. It's a town called Lurgan. Lurgan is a small market town. It's on the southern coast of Lough Neagh in Northern Ireland. It's got a population of just under 34,000, and it looks like any other town. It has parks, bars and restaurants, green spaces. It has a main street with local quaint businesses and even bigger brand stores. It looks like any other town. Sadly, Lurgan has a painful and bloody past, and you don't have to scratch too far beneath the surface to find that past. During the Troubles, between the late 60s and the late 90s, as we term them, Lurgan was at the centre of what became dubbed the murder triangle, suffering more fatalities than anywhere outside of Belfast. The Troubles was as close really to a civil war as you can imagine, with extremes from both sides, the mainly Catholic nationalist community and the mainly Protestant unionist community, using murder and violence as a means to achieve their goals. Put simply, nationalists want a united Ireland, unionists want to remain part of the United Kingdom. It was a conflict rooted in the control of land and the national identity of that land that just so happened to align with religious beliefs. In the middle were the police and the military. The results were devastating and horrifying. Gun attacks, bombs, sniper attacks, burning roadblocks, street fighting were all a day-to-day occurrence in Northern Ireland. All in all, over 3,600 people lost their lives, and over 30,000 others were injured. Of those, 300 killed were police. To put this into context for you here, that all happened in a piece of land less than 1/30th the size of the state of California, only marginally bigger than San Diego County. In Good Friday in 1998, a peaceful agreement was reached. It involved the governments of both the Republic of Ireland and the United Kingdom and led to the forming of a power-sharing assembly in Stormont in Belfast. It became known as the Good Friday Agreement. 21 years on, Lurgan has been renewed, reinvigorated, with massive investment and development. A comparative peace has been restored. I say comparative for good reason. To this day, there are those who refuse to acknowledge, refuse to respect, and refuse to accept the Good Friday Agreement. They continue to launch attacks on police officers, on prison officers, and on military, with everything from close-quarter shoots to IEDs and bombs. Even bombs placed under police officers' cars. Only a few weeks ago, an explosive device was discovered on the underside of one of my colleagues' cars, mercifully before it exploded, but we're not always that fortunate. Ongoing at home currently is the trial of a man who stands accused of the terrorist murder of a prison officer using those same means. The extremes from both communities, albeit much reduced from what they were, continue to launch tit-for-tat attacks on the other community. Only last month in Lurgan we saw such attacks. With that remaining threat comes obvious precautions. This beautiful building here is my office. To me it is just an office, it's just where I work, but others have commented that it looks a bit more like a military base in a war zone than it would a local police station. All that fortification, however, does not change the hearts of those of us who work within it. It does not change the community which we serve, and it can never and will never change the work that we must do on a day-to-day basis to protect the most vulnerable in our society and to keep people safe. I think that's enough doom and gloom. There is a hope. I've told you about the challenges that our community faces, and they are real, but there is a hope, and the story today is a shining example of that hope. The Lurgan Schools Shared Education Programme brings schools together from across that divide to use GIS for peace. Children from Protestant schools and Catholic schools working together. I have the distinction today of introducing to you three pupils who I have the privilege now of calling my friends. These pupils, they are not our tomorrow, they are our today. So please welcome on stage Hannah from Lurgan College, Aisha from St. Ronan's, and Leon from Lurgan Junior High School.
I moved to Northern Ireland from Paraguay in South America when I was a little girl. I'd grown up seeing poverty and begging on the streets of Paraguay, and the segregation that I saw there was economic and racial. I had no idea about the differences in Northern Ireland. It wasn't until I moved to Lurgan when I was a little girl that I heard the terms Catholic and Protestant, as this was no issue in South America at all. Lurgan was where I first experienced religious segregation. This is the island of Ireland, and we are from Northern Ireland. We live close to Belfast, the capital city, in a small town called Lurgan, bordering Craigavon. These are our three schools that we are from. Lurgan College, the mainly Protestant school for 14 to 18 years old, my school. St. Ronan's College, the Catholic school for 11 to 18 years old, Aisha's school. And Lurgan Junior High, the mainly Protestant school for 11 to 14 years old, Leon's school. In preparation for our school project, our teacher asked us to draw a mental map of the dividing line in our town between the Protestant and the Catholic communities. Instinctively, and because of our experiences growing up in Lurgan, we knew exactly where the divide was before we even started the survey. Lurgan College, the mainly Protestant school, is in the Catholic area of the town. This is because it is the oldest of our three schools, so it was built before segregation was an issue in Lurgan. Information from the Northern Ireland Statistics and Research Agency shows the religious differences in Lurgan. Red is St. Ronan's colour, so we'll use it to represent the Catholic community, and blue is Lurgan College and Lurgan Junior High's colour, so we'll use it to represent the Protestant community. This then shows that the mental map line we drew was correct, and we all know where the divide is in our town. We have again census data from the Northern Ireland Statistics and Research Agency from 1991 to 2011. In 1991, Mornvie was one of Lurgan's most Protestant estates, with 0% of Catholics living there and 89% of Protestants living there. So watch what happens to the percentage change as I swipe over to the 2011 data. So the Catholics actually increases to 42%, and the Protestant decreases to 53%. So at first glance, we would think that Lurgan has become more integrated in the past 20 years, but this is actually due to the electoral ward boundary change. As in 1991, the boundary was exclusively covering a Protestant area, but notice, however, as I swipe over to 2011, the boundary has crossed over the divide line and now includes part of the Catholic community. So this is the real reason for the percentage change. As geographers and citizen scientists, our data adds another layer on top of the census data representing our lived experiences. As we know, Mornvie is not integrated at all and still remains one of the most Protestant estates in Lurgan today. This increased segregation has led to economic implications for the town, as after 5 p.m. every day, Lurgan becomes a ghost town. All the shops and restaurants close. So this means that we young people have nowhere to mix in the evening, and our opportunities to integrate are reduced. Although the town still remains segregated, projects like this are a way of breaking down barriers and moving on from our past history of violence in Northern Ireland. This project has been very relevant to me, as it's fueled my desire to study international politics and conflict studies at university next year. Spending time with students from St. Ronan's like Aisha, I have learned that there is more that unites us than divides us. I'm now going to pass over to my good friend Aisha, who will explain how the project enabled us to come together.
So we wanted to map how people felt at a variety of Protestant and Catholic areas in our town, both during the day and at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. So on a snowy morning in January, 45 students from our three schools set out on a bus journey to visit 15 locations around our town. What we did was use the Survey 123 app, which we installed onto our phones. As a group of young teenagers who use our phones for essentially everything, doing the survey on our phone was second nature to all of us compared to using a pen and paper. The format was designed so we could collect 3 key pieces of data, including how comfortable we felt at each location at that time and place on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being very uncomfortable to 5 being very comfortable. We also wanted to find out how comfortable we would feel at these same locations at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. We also wanted to find out what schools we were from. We were lucky to be accompanied by Michael from our police service, who told us some stories at some locations which gave us insight into the kind of behaviour that occurs here on a Saturday night. And we were encouraged to take photos at each of the locations, which we later used to help discuss and interpret our data. Back in class that same afternoon, it was easy to see the data we collected appear on our web map. We collected some really powerful information, 475 pieces of data in total. I want to share with you some of the locations that we visited. This is an image of an area in Quilty. It shows a memorial about a historical event around which there are strong feelings in opposite directions. Some data reflects how some Protestant young people felt uncomfortable here. In fact, some young ones would not leave the bus, which later other students were surprised about. This one shows the Portadown Road underpass, which is an area of antisocial behaviour, such as underage drinking. From our data, we could see that nobody wanted to be here after dark. Next, we see Serona's College, which is my school. From our data, we could see that everyone felt comfortable at their own schools, which highlights how we see our schools as a safe place with no boundaries, with everyone feeling comfortable regardless of being Protestant or Catholic. This is St. Peter's Chapel, which is a Catholic place of worship. The results were similar to the previous point, once again showing that for us, this isn't a story about religious differences. This image was taken in a Protestant area. It shows a mural. It was interesting to see how both Catholic and Protestant students felt comfortable here, perhaps since it is situated on a main road and not a housing estate. The data we collected was at our convenience quickly for us to analyse when we got back. This is what it looked like. When asked in our survey what we would do to improve our town, a word cloud was generated from the feedback given, and the words most frequently used were highlighted, such as security, flags, and mural. What we concluded from this was that we wanted more security and fewer and less threatening murals and flags in our town. Words like these represent Lurgan's troubled past, and even today still affect young people like me, Hannah, and Leon. Once again, showing that for us, it makes us feel uneasy in our own town. I am now going to pass over to my young friend Leon, who will speak about a deeper analysis of our data.
Aisha has gone through what we have done as a part of our project and has shown the route we have taken in our town. As we can see from this heat map, we can see the clusters of surveys that have been collected at each location, which I will analyse next. We will use this map that you're now familiar with to explore the data further using insights. We had a geo mentor who came out to our school to help me learn how to use insights and different tools in the application. My teacher gave me the freedom to dig deeper into the data we collected and play around with it. It was really quite exciting to see the patterns that started to emerge. I'll now delve deeper into the data and show you some of the key findings that jumped out. Our first hypothesis: there is little difference in students' perception of safety in the public spaces in Lurgan. To do this, I applied a filter showing only the points of public space. We can clearly see that the average student's perception of safety is high at 4.7, and that there's little difference between the schools. So, we can conclude that all pupils are feeling safe here. However, when we look at the feelings of safety late on a Saturday night, the first thing we notice is that the average decreases to 3.7. But what's interesting is that the Catholic students are feeling slightly safer than the Protestant students, which is not quite what our hypothesis suggests. This is something that can be investigated further when we do the survey again next year. Moving on to hypothesis 2. students feel safer in their own areas. Let's begin by looking at the Catholic areas. I've shown this by applying a filter showing only the Catholic areas. The first thing you'll notice is that our hypothesis appears to be true. The red line representing Catholics is above the blue line representing Protestants. Again, the average feeling of safety per day are higher at 4.1 than at night, which are at 3.3. However, there are some interesting anomalies. Protestant young people are feeling as safe as Catholic young people at Lurgan College, even though this is in a Catholic space. This is because this is a Protestant school, so the Protestant young people will feel safer here. Even more interesting, however, are the following. At the Portadown Road, known for antisocial behaviour on a Saturday night, we can see that students from both schools are starting to feel on edge. But at Kilwilkie, students from Lurgan College and Lurgan Junior High School are not comfortable at all. However, St. Ronan's aren't phased at Kilwilkie. Why is this? You remember this is the place Aisha talked about with the controversial mural, a place where some of the younger Protestant students were scared to even get off the bus. Next, we will look at how the students felt in the Protestant area. To do this, I have applied a filter to show only the Protestant areas. During the day, all students felt safe, Protestants and Catholics. At night, similar to before, the average feeling of safety decreased from 4.7 to 3.4. In some places, students from both schools felt equally comfortable. But when we look at Mournview, we can see that we were shocked actually to see that Catholic students feel more comfortable than Protestant students, despite not being a Catholic area. At first, we were at a loss to explain this, but on reflection, we realized when using the mean, it can be affected by outliers. So, how do we dig even further into the data to see if we can find an explanation? To do this, we use box plots. Each box represents 50% of the responses for each school. If we hover over them, we can see the median for both schools, Lurgan Junior High School and St. Ronan's, is the same at 3. But furthermore, the spread of values for Lurgan Junior High School is greater, from 1.5 going up to 3.5, with more students feeling less comfortable. But compared to St. Ronan's of only 3 to 4. What this then meant was it then dragged the overall mean down for Lurgan Junior High School. This is an area that myself and my friends wouldn't want to hang out on a Saturday night because we know from experience that there is trouble here and that it's a no-go area. It's amazing to me, because this is only the beginning of our journey and with exploring the data. It's amazing to me as a young person from Lurgan how sitting at my own computer, playing around with these tools and with exploring the data, that our findings are being used by other people, like our local police, our council, and even Queen's University in Belfast. I'm really happy that the people who are making a difference and decisions in my town are using our findings to do just that. Thank you.
That is a summary of the work we are doing with our shared education programme. This project has brought us on a crazy journey from our small town of Lurgan all the way to San Diego, and we've had an amazing time. But it all started from a snowy day in January with 45 students from our 3 schools, which we all thought would be a one-day school trip. We would have never imagined it would have led to us on this stage and the friendships we've made between the 3 of us. This project is not just about exploring data, it's about breaking down barriers and building friendships. As Aisha and I are both the same age, live in the same town, however, if it weren't for this project, we would have never met, and this is the same for everyone else living in Lurgan. We recognise that, yes, we are all different, as we maybe have different national identities and go to different churches. But overall and ultimately, we have learned through spending time together that there's more that unites us than divides us. On behalf of us and the other 42 students, we want to say thank you.
Wow. What a story. What a story. Well, you've heard some of the background. You've heard from those who have inspired us in law enforcement. I think now you need to meet those who have inspired the inspirers. Those who have enabled these guys using the technology to see what others can't, but in each other. So please welcome on stage from Lurgan College, Mr. Alistair Hamill, from St. Ronan's College, Miss Hannah Murda, and from Lurgan Junior High School, Mr. Robert Logan.
Aren't these young people just absolutely, truly inspiring? I need to tell you that Leon, with that insights profile, absolutely nobody told him how to work that out himself. All that happened was he was given it one day during our preparation, and before we knew it, all of this incredible information was coming out of it. Leon will be joining my school next year, and I'm already very worried because I have no idea what I'm going to teach him. And so this is something of our shared education program. These 3 students represent the 45 other students that were out that snowy day in Lurgan, and indeed the hundreds of other students from across the 3 schools who are getting a chance through our project to cross over that mental barrier in the town, to meet people that they would not otherwise meet, and to do what young people all across the world do, simply to make new friends. We are overflowing and bursting with pride for Hannah, Aisha, and Leon, and all of the other students. We are the teachers who stand behind them, but it is our pleasure and our honor to be the teachers that stand with them as together we partner for peace. This work is tremendously exciting and inspiring, but it is not without its challenges. And part of what has made our project so successful are the partners that have stood with us. From Michael, from the police service, who has brought not only his local expertise, but his personal commitment to peace building in the town of Lurgan. To our colleagues in Queen's University in Belfast, who will be partnering with us next year and beyond as we repeat this survey. To our GEO mentors in Northern Ireland and Great Britain, who are always on call anytime during the day, and it seems even at night, to answer the questions, just how do you do this little thing? Though in future I will have my own GEO mentor just down the corridor in Leon. And of course to Jack, Esri and Esri Ireland for making this game-changing technology available to schools in Northern Ireland and all over the world. And what we have found is this, that when those connections are made, the effect multiplies and multiplies out. That what we can do together is so much more than what we can do by ourselves. And so, this is our challenge to you. As we looked out into our local community, we found people who were looking in, attuned to opportunities to help. And the reality is that there are students and teachers in your town, in your area, like us, who are just waiting for you to come and to partner with them. Can I ask you to look out for those people? And when you find them, don't just give of your expertise. Give of your commitment, give of your time, give of yourselves. Our GEO mentors have been our enablers, but more than that, they too have become our friends. Together, we are stronger. Hannah, Aisha, Leon, this is your moment. But as they stand here today, they are passing the baton to you. For this also is your moment to think of the young people like this that are in your community and in your town, and your moment to choose to be part of the change for good that is happening all over our world. Let us together make all of these precious moments count. Thank you.